All right, this is 2.3, and this is the independent practice. So, I'm sure you've done these. You're just checking to make sure you're good. And so let's go through them. We have 35%. We want to change it from a percent to a decimal. And when we do that, we start right here, and we go 2 over. 1, 2. 0.35. Okay? The other way to do it is take your percent, 35, put it over 100. You have 35 hundredths, and you know you got a decimal, 0.35. And you can always use your calculator. All right, let's look at the next one. 2%. 2% is 2 out of 100, which is 2 hundredths, which is 0.02, because that's the hundredths place value. So it's 2 hundredths. Very small percent. It's only 2 out of 100. If you get a 2% on a test, you could say there was 100 questions. I got 2 right. So I got 2%. Probably not real good, huh? Okay. Now, say there's a test, you get 31%, and there's 100 problems. It's 31 out of 100, because you could get 100%, but you got 31 out of the 100, which is 31%. Or you could just move this over to 1, 2, and you get 0.31. Now, say you do really well on a test. Say you get 95%. So you get 95 out of 100. That's almost all of them. So it's almost perfect. 95 hundredths. Okay, 0.95. So on these, we're kind of going to the point where you have a decimal here, you have a fraction here, and you have a percent here. And you can go back and forth and back and forth. That's the key for this whole chapter, is that at the end you're going to be able to take any number, put it into a decimal, put it into a percent, put it into a fraction, and go back and forth and back and forth. Okay, let's go over here. Now we want to take some decimals and put it into a percent. Okay. So this, we could take this decimal, let's make it to a fraction, and it's 22 hundredths, so it's 22 over 100. When anything out of 100, that's your percent, so it's 22%. Okay. Next one, I could take this 0.79, start with my decimal, go 1, 2 over, and I have 79%. Now in this next one, it's 0.1, and I'm going to take 0.1, 0.1. I got to move the decimal over 2 times. One place value and another place value, and that's where it goes. But I have to have something here between this and this 1 here. So once I moved it over 2, then I can get rid of this, and I have 10, and it is 10%. Okay. And the way I know 10% is correct is I could go back to a decimal by doing 10 hundredths. 10 hundredths, which is 0.10. That's 10 hundredths. Okay? Back and forth, back and forth. Let's go over to 0.16. I'm just going to move my decimal point over 2. 1, 2. Now I have 16%. Okay. Number 9. A bank offers an interest rate of 4%. Okay, 4% on a savings account. Write 4% as a decimal. 4%, I want it to be a decimal. I start here. I got to go over 2. 1, 2. Got to have something to fill that. My decimal is 0.04. The other way to do it is 4 divided by 100. And when I do that, I get 4 hundredths. Number 10. When making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, 96% of people put the peanut butter on first. Write 96% as a decimal. Okay, almost everybody, but not quite everybody. So 96%, I could go 96 over 100, so 96 out of 100, or 96 hundredths. I also could just take the decimal and go 1, 2 over and get 0.96. Okay? Alright, let's do 11 and 12. In a recent year, 0.12 or 12 hundredths of Americans downloaded the podcast from the internet. What percentage is an equivalent to 12 hundredths? 0.12 equals 12 hundredths. Anything over 100, that is my percent, so it's 12%. The other way to do it is to take my decimal, go over 1, 2. Now my decimal's there, and I put the percent, 12%. In a recent year, the number of homes with digital cameras grew 0.44 from the previous year. We want to write this decimal, 0.44, as a percent. Okay, it's 44 hundredths. That's in a fraction form. So I took it from a decimal to a fraction. And now, because it's over 100, I know it's going to be 44%. The other way to do it is when I have 0.44, I'm going to take it 1, 2, and now I have my percent. Okay? And I didn't write that the right way. But I want you to see that as you take it over 1, 2, then you can put your percent. So 0.44, take it over 1, 2, and it becomes a percent. Just like I take this 44%, if I want to make that a decimal, I start here and go 1, 2, goes right here, but I'm dragging this away, so I get rid of it, and it goes over here, 0.44. Okay? When you're going from this is important, when you're going from a percent to a decimal, you take it this way. When you go from a decimal to a percent, you take it to the right. Okay? Something you just got to remember. All right, 13 we won't do, so there's your guided practice. Nope, that's not your guided practice. That was your independent practice. Hopefully you did well. If you didn't, come see me. Otherwise, head on for the extra practice. And the extra practice for 2.3 is page 115, numbers 20 through 31. Go ahead and do that. Turn it in. Don't forget your name.